of the session, it was highlighted. Um, we will also see together why this is important as well as part of the introduction. We are going also to have a look on some key statistics related to that, and also we are going to see some critical WASH challenges that are usually or often observed in the emergent settings, uh, um, critical or general critical WASH challenges. We are also going to discuss, talk about the practical WASH interventions in response to of course, to the existing challenges, and also part of the outcome. I was also requested to also talk about some possible WASH career paths. So, out of in regards to the introduction, first of all, when we talk about WASH in emergency, maybe as you try to look in different resources, you might actually find different definitions, but the one I choose is by the word of emergency itself. It means we need to have a fast pace in terms of responding to in this case to the WASH needs. So one thing we need to understand is it consists of rapidly assessing the existing gaps and needs in terms of WASH, and of course after following the assessment done rapidly, you also have to provide the essential solutions, WASH solutions in terms of WASH, of course, and in this case we are talking in the emergent settings or on humanitarian crisis. I'm sure most of us we know when we talk about humanitarian settings or humanitarian crisis. Of course, they are related to different crises, such as, for example, disease outbreaks. We have also some related to natural disasters and also conflict affected areas or conflict affected zones as well. So this usually these kind of settings they call for uh, assessment, rapid assessment, as I put, and provision of the essential WASH services, which are very needed in those settings. Continuing with the why is it important? Why is WASH important in emergent settings? Of course, I will try to be, as I mentioned. Mention some key highlights in terms of the different aspects of this presentation, and I will expect you, of course, to have some time for questions or detailed discussion after this one. So the reason why it's important, of course, as we all know, in the emergency settings, people coming together, usually like a lot of people coming together, for example, in refugee camps. So we are trying to have these WASH interventions in this kind of settings in order to prevent, of course, the waterborne diseases which could occur otherwise. For example, like cholera, we know diarrhea, we know typhoid, and also many other related diseases. We are also trying to uh, reduce the burden on the health care services. Of course, as I mentioned, um, trying to yes. Um, Sorry. I'm trying to keep this down. For example, like this, more down. Ah, yes. So I mentioned prevention of waterborne diseases. And by doing so, in fact, these are interrelated. By doing so, we are also reducing the burden on the healthcare services. Meaning, when you prevent already, so you are contributing to some diseases which could otherwise also request some healthcare, services and expenses. We It also helps to restore the dignity and safety of the affected people, especially especially for women and children. Um, I also talked about key statistics on the wash needs and gaps in the emergencies. Um, well, these are some key statistics which can be also found in different resources. The first two, of course, I would say these are like general, or global figures, and like generally speaking. So, for example, we have as of 2022, 2022, we the it has been reported that 2.2 billion people still lacked safely managed drinking water. Uh, Again, 3.5 billion people still lacked safely managed sanitation. So maybe I will not take you in technicality of this or more details, but the reason why I'm saying these are like general figures. So this is when we talk about safely managed drinking water or safely managed sanitation. Um, there are actually different levels of access to safe water and sanitation as per the SDG or Sustainable Development Goal related to wash. So uh, one of them being uh, in terms of water, safely manage the drinking water, and for the sanitation being access to safely managed sanitation. So maybe to take you through quickly, for example, if we say safely managed both for sanitation and drinking water, those are the highest level of access. I just picked this one to show you and maybe attract your interest as also you continue to learn from different resources. But also, as I said, these are the highest, but even those which are not the highest level of access, for example, um, basic access to to safe water, there's also limited. There's also unimproved. There's also after unimproved. We say, for example, in terms of the water. Uh, when they are not accessing to at least an improved water source, such as an improved spring or well. The last one is people get those who are getting the water from directly from the surface water, for example. So these are different levels from the highest maybe to the lowest. So I try to pick at least for this one. Because as you know, these are the at least you know the highest target, and which are of course the ultimate in the end targets for everyone to have this one. So uh, again, safely managed drinking water is like when people are getting um, safe water and within their premises. So and going down in the levels, is going to the lower stages until when people are not even uh, getting clean water, but getting water which has and improved or directed from the surface water. Then for the for the self-free managed sanitation is like when people they are having a sanitation, improved sanitation facility that most of us will know, such as flush toilet or VIP latrine, and which are not shared in in that highest level. So going down in the levels as well. So we are going towards the lower levels. So I try to pick this one as I believe these are the ultimate, at least levels that are aimed in the end to be achieved. So also in the statistics, it has been also reported that 80% of all diseases in developing worlds and in some resources, they say in humanitarian crisis are linked to poor wash, conditions. Again, you see, we are having wash in all these statistics and needs and gaps. We have also another critical also statistic saying that every day more than 700 children who are under 5 years age, they die from diarrhea every day. So this is also has been reported and you see by UNICEF. So these are all related to the lack of proper wash services. So there are also many other statistics which I did not list here, and some of them obviously specifically talking about the emergent settings. I remember I come across some of the uh, areas where they are talking about some of the terms of refugee camps. Most of the refugee camps, a big percentage having also gaps, and of course, obviously needs in terms of wash interventions. Um, so we talk. Maybe we finish this one in terms of statistics. So I will take you also through some general critical observed wash challenges in terms of emergent settings. Of course, when there are emergent settings, and we've seen together that they are related to the crisis, humanitarian crisis. Usually, people are displaced because of different crisis, as we said, natural disasters. We have conflicts that are making people to be displaced, and of course need emergency solutions in terms of different aspects to maintain their living. So wash being one of them. So in terms of wash, the challenges usually which are found in the emergencies or in the emergency settings. There is usually in the settings, having in mind or bearing in mind that usually these are the settings which are usually set up like so rapidly, so fast to respond to to the problems in place. Usually, in the first place, we don't have, say, for example, in the refugee camp, people are just being displaced so quickly because of a given problem. So in the first place, in those settings, there is a need to set up. Usually, there are no wash facilities available in that place. So there is lack of these basic wash facilities in the first place. And also another thing which is observed sometimes, due to the dynamics in terms of for example, in the conflict, some of the infrastructures, wash infrastructures, are also damaged in the course of what is happening, and this is affecting also people to getting the services. And this time, if they were there and they are damaged, they are also calling for wash interventions. The other thing is sometimes also there might be contamination of the water sources, uh, you know, due to, as I said, what is happening, for example, in the particular places, but also the people gathering together in, for example, in a place, for example, I've been using the example of for example, refugee camp. First of all, if there is no, if the wash facilities, they are not rapidly provided as soon as possible. Usually in this in between, sometimes you will notice, for example, people are doing some practices which can also contribute to the contamination of the water sources, and as well calling for wash intervention in such places. The same thing also in terms of waste disposal. They are also not there in the first place, and people are gathering together like so many people in a small place usually. So usually also the waste management is also observed as a challenge. So the other thing, of course, there's also in terms of culture, people also having in the situations that we are talking about, and sometimes also maybe there are also some cultural, barriers in terms of, for example, if there is a need, given the situation that people need to practice the proper hygiene, practices, and sometimes it's not there in the culture. It's also observed in some places. So I hope we are together. I hope you are, yes. Hope you are hearing me.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. So having mentioned some challenges, some worst challenges happening there in the in the emergency settings, they are, of course, as I've been saying, they are calling for some related, immediate interventions. And remember, usually in that situation, the ultimate goal is also to save the lives of the, of the population and the people who are already vulnerable in the first place because of what has even made them to be in those situations. So there is a need to do immediate provision of safe water and drinking water, and also water treatment solutions when possible. I try to mention, for example, when it's not possible to have, treatment immediately on the ground, and obviously people need to have drinking water. Sometimes there is a use of, for example, water trucks to make sure that it's possible to collect, clean water, safe water from a place where it's possible to get it and bring to the, closer to the emergency facilities or emergency settings. And sometimes it's also possible to set up some possible emergency water treatment systems to ensure, sometimes depending on the water source, to make some filtration of the water, and obviously purify the water to be consumed or to be used in the emergency settings. So sometimes it's possible to start with water trucks when people are still organizing to do some possible water treatment on the ground solutions. Um, these are some different, yeah, including also coordination, of course, to make sure water is well disinfected, and also to have storage for the people to use. There is also a need in that situations to have distribution of hygiene kits, like such as soaps, especially soaps and clean water. You because we need soaps and clean water usually to to be able to do the prevention of the diseases that you talked about, and most of them they are transmitted through fecal oral contamination. So making sure that people have enough soaps, for example, to make sure they are doing washing their hands in the critical you know situation or critical areas. We have some critical areas, so you know critical time, I mean, when people have to wash their hands, especially when they are they have been in contact, or they have used latrines. I think you know all of this, or before taking food, and as well even before preparing foods. So hygiene kits are very important in terms of responding to this. And also we have people need to use latrines. So also rapidly there is a need to set up some latrines, emergency latrines, and do as much as possible to properly manage the fecal sludge coming out of the latrine. We also need obviously proper waste management, wastewater management. As you know, people will need to shower. In any case, they will need to shower, and you know they will in the end produce some wastewater which would be needed to be properly managed, and especially when it is it is a setting which is resulting from for example a disease outbreak. This need to be properly managed to avoid the wastewater going outside, and avoiding that so many other people can be affected uh, from that disease outbreak. Um, of course, the other thing which is also very key and important is, there's a need to have this community engagement as well, especially making the the people, to understand, you know, uh, the wash intervention that are being provided to them, and why, as we mentioned when we are starting our presentation, and with this, it makes to ensure as well the ownership and sustainability of the sustainable maintenance of the facilities that are provided. These are just some few illustrations that I just picked from, as you see, from Wikipedia, the first two, just to show you, uh, you know, to try to illustrate in some places how the wash interventions are being done in the emergency settings. I just wanted, in fact, to just pick few to show, especially the team that, yeah, when we are talking about, responding to to the wash needs in emergency, is I thought is very important, maybe to for you to know that sometimes uh, things are done, for example, differently from what you know uh, people regularly know. To show that it's possible usually to adapt on the on the resources available in the given places, and also adapt to the context, so that people are able to rapidly and in the fast pace respond to the wash needs. For example, in the first picture, you can see this is like lining of the pit, of the pit for latrines. Especially when the area is having, for example, high water, and maybe the type of soil is also not good. Usually, in the regular or in the normal situation, it's possible, for example, to line even the pit with the, for example, concrete, or stronger masonry, materials. But in situations, sometimes in different situations, it's possible to also use such kind of materials, as long as they are the available resources, and they can also be used. The same thing for septic tanks, the normal septic tanks, or for example, in terms of gray water system, grease traps, or manholes. Sometimes, the context, we have to adapt on the context and use, for example, available materials. When you were supposed, maybe in normal circumstances, to use, concrete, materials, concrete structures, but maybe you have plastics, plastic materials, and this material, they will help you to, to serve the purpose as well, to avoid water seeping in the ground, or protect the plant collapsing, all this. So it is just illustration, to just to highlight this to you. And this one, I think they mentioned, is it for high? I think it was happening in Haiti or another place, but importantly, they wanted to show that in some places, due to the soil condition, and maybe you know, maybe flooding happening in the area. So it's not possible even to dig a pit when they are constructing latrines. So in this case, they have to, elevate, and do latrine in the way you are seeing now. Uh, you know, in the end, the latrine will serve the purpose in this type of context. Um, the third picture, I wanted to show you, for example, this is like more or less a complete water supply system, but in terms of you see, for example, what we talked about, here they were using, water truck to correct, bring water from, a place where it was possible to correct it, and also bring closer to the community, which is not having, access to the clean water sources. And then they are using the tractor, and they are feeding the water bladder, and from the water bladder, then they have made, temporary a water tap, from which the community is able to correct the water. So the the well, the last slide, yeah, as I say, they also, asked me to highlight to you some career paths, which I believe maybe most of you they have such insights already. So some of, in my view, some of the possible wash career paths that exist. I try to mention, of course, even though our discussion or our topic was mainly focusing on the humanitarian context, of course, there are also, wash career paths in terms of, development settings as well. So I just try to mention some of the possible you know positions that are related to wash. For example, there is a wash specialist, sometimes wash engineer, sometimes wash manager, head of something related to wash. And I also try to mention some possible employers, which I know, but of course there are many others, uh, like UN agencies and NGOs, and of course we know, many others, including the government agencies. Also people are able to get there some wash career paths as well. Yeah. So thank you so much. I think it was quick, but yeah, I just wanted to take you through this and just to give some insights as I've been requested. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much,
thank you so much.
Shabbat,
It was really good.
this very interesting presentation. So I really learned a lot from you, and I'm sure our students did as well. Above all, I wish to thank you for the important work that you're doing in sensitive and conflict affected areas. It is both essential and also greatly needed. So, dear students, for those who are here, welcome. So we will dedicate the next few minutes for a Q&A. So if you have any questions on WASH, on the career development of Jean-Baptiste, on what is needed to enter this field, please don't hesitate to ask him. So please, the floor is open. So any questions that you may have, do ask right now. You can also write in the chat if it's easier, or unmute and speak. Jean-Baptiste, as our students are getting ready for their question, if you allow me, I'll just start with one question. So I wanted to know what inspired you to get into this field.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. Well, I would say that in the first place, what inspired me to enter in this field was the I think the passion to go in a field which will help me to contribute in terms of contributing to having really impact on the people's lives. So this has really played a big role in terms of dedicating myself to this field, because maybe that most of the people usually they say that water is life. So saying water is life, uh, to me it really means it. It really means it, especially in the settings we are talking about. you know, people needs water to, to be able to live, be able to live. Um, and when you are also sick, you obviously need safe water. You cannot take medication, for example, with unclean water. Otherwise, you are going to, you take medication, but you are getting to have diseases if you don't, for example, use clean water. So many other also things related to that. But all in all, it was like, to me, is a sector that I believe it helps to, to contribute in the and seeing the really impact on the people's life. Yeah, ensuring people have dignity, you know, out of the wash interventions.
This is a very noble purpose, Jean-Baptiste. I mean, well done. Princess Nira has a question. Please, how do I join this field of study?
Um, well, that is a very interesting question as well. Of course, when we are talking about joining the field of study, um, for example, the good thing for me, I usually sometimes say I was lucky because uh, I, immediately joined the career in terms of, academic background when after, after completing, my secondary studies, I immediately joined the career of WASH in terms of academic. But uh, I also believe that, anyone and at any stage can still join this academic this field in terms of study as it has been mentioned. For example, we know some, even if you didn't do in the bachelor, for example, you can still have some related advanced studies and why not sometimes it's possible to do some how do we call it, this post I don't know, back you know you know or there are different possible options to join the study in terms, and sometimes there are different courses as well. Yeah, different courses that someone can attend and have some knowledge about this, and yeah, so I believe it's possible. It's possible to join the course, the study, or different related courses as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jean-Baptiste, for that answer. We have Joel who has a hand raised. Joel, if you could unmute and ask the question.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
So,
Yes, yes.
yeah, so I want to thank you first for like Mr. Jean-Baptiste for the presentation. And my question is, what kind of equipment now or tools that you use to test or to monitor maybe water safety, and also and what kind of compliance that you have maybe regarding maybe regulations now? The second point is about do you have maybe partners that you are working with that support you? Because we know right now there are some cuts of head from Western countries now, especially United States. So do you wait maybe for foreigners maybe to support you in your career path or your field right now? So those are the kind of questions that I had for you, mate. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joel. Maybe if it's possible to repeat the second question. I think I did not.
Yes, the second question was about the partnership. do you have any
Okay.
support from foreigners or Western countries now?
Okay. 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 Well, thank you.
Jean-Baptiste, you're muted.
Yes, I was just noting something,
So,
noting the question. So, well, I think the first question he asked was like he wanted to know like what are the kind of tools or materials uh, used to, I think, to monitor the status and the quality of water. Am I right? I think this was the question.
yes, yes, it was.
So, well, there are different. There is no single tool, but there are different, recommended tools to use, and especially when we are saying monitoring of the quality of water, we are also talking about monitoring different parameters that we need to check in the water and making sure, for example, they are within the limits or standard. As you know, for example, the water, when we are talking about the water source, so water source is, is being found in, out there in the environment, and in the environment, there are different, or contents, which also can get into the water. So therefore, we there are different as well, tools which are used to check the different parameters in the water and ensuring that they are within, um, they are within the standards. Yeah, the same thing, maybe for the wastewater as well. Since we are talking about wash, that also, we have to check also the wastewater, making sure that before, for example, discharging in the environment, that they comply with, the acceptable, standards or for different parameters. So then for water quality, ensuring water quality, I can tell him that we have different tools. For example, there is a tool which we call, for example, spectrophotometer. For example, this tool usually helps to, make sure to track and to, to monitor the level of different parameters. Usually, for example, the chemical, components, which might be, in our water, and checking their level or in the water, and from that it's possible to to take measures in terms of what to be improved in terms of ensuring our water remain in a safe status. There are also some other tools, for example, comparators, especially when we are checking, for example, the what we call free residual, chlorine in our, for example, in our water, because as I mentioned, at some point I mentioned that at some point we have to chlorinate. Part of disinfection, method used is chlorination of the water. And when we are doing, for example, chlorination of the water, as we disinfect our water, and we prevent it to be, is a prevention, because when we put our chlorine, it will go together with our water until, the consumption, for example, point. And at this point, we need also to check in the end what is in the end the free chlorine, in our water, so that we don't go beyond the recommended range. For example, sometimes we use some comparators where we have different colors, and this color is, correspond to this range, to this, to this amount of, chlorine in our water. And then from that, from the results, we are able to take actions. Then for the he also mentioned about the partnership, whether there is a support from, for example, from abroad or foreign support. Uh, Maybe this one I can say that generally speaking, for example, I can mention in general that supports are usually there for for all of us, and particularly say speaking, um, one of the support is also um, the availability of the opportunity to be able, to to join, for example, these kind of interventions in terms of contributing to the lives of people. As I say, there are some opportunities out there from the different, for example, employers that I mentioned. So this as well, for example, I can say sometimes I can see it as a foreign support, because sometimes opportunities are just not locally, but they are also in different other places of the world, and calling for for this kind of intervention. So this is in terms of, for example, as far as, for example, working is concerned, but in terms of as well for undertaking the pursuing such related, for example, courses, there are also different opportunities also in regards to the courses, WASH courses that one can also try and uh, and get it and be able also to join the studies and the courses. Yeah, so I think this is to respond to the second question as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jean-Baptiste. We got one comment from Giramata. She said that the presentation was really nice. I did learn from it. I was really curious about sanitation, and I just wanted to remind myself about some precautions concerning sanitation and clean water. Thank you very much. We got a question from Imab. I wanted to ask, in case the community-facing water problem has inaccessible roads for water trucks, what is a quick response to that?
Um, Thank you so much. Yes, this comes in the in the point where I mentioned water treatment, like possible water treatment, systems or facility. For example, in some places, it's possible to, for example, to drill boreholes. To drill boreholes and be able to, provide the water to the communities. In other places as well, maybe the roads are not good. Also, for example, there are some portable water treatment units. As you know, for example, most of the humanitarian, actors. For example, they usually have, for example, the freight, the possibility to use freights in terms of accessing us. And I definitely agree with him that most of the places are usually not accessible. But with the means of, for example, the flights that most of the humanitarian organizations are using, they are sometimes able to, to provide, to bring some portable water treatment facilities and provide to the community, and to be able to use them in terms of having access to the clean water.
We got another question from Billy, who says, Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here. And thank you, Jean-Baptiste, for the discussion. But I had this question. We still have some places in Africa or people who have negative cultural beliefs that practicing sanitation and hygiene is not important. They even sometimes take it as expensive practices. So my question goes like, how can we overcome this poor mindset?
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, indeed, it is true. In different places have different culture beliefs and mindsets, and sometimes there is this resistance in the first place, to implement some of the best practices actually, which uh, should otherwise help them. So again, I will come back on the on the community engagement, which is usually done by the wash specialist or the wash related people who are doing the intervention of wash. But in some other context, there is also support of for example, some community engagement staff or health promoters who also help in terms of collaborating and making sure the people they understand why they need to do this, and especially pointing out if they don't do this, these are the adverse results which can affect them and affect obviously the the community, and also to add on that, and this is always very important because not only about the belief, but sometimes, for example, the children, they don't understand naturally, the why they are doing, they need to do this and they have to do this. So there is a need of you know community engagement as well, and providing trainings yeah, to the people. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jean-Baptiste, for that. Do any of you have any questions? You can unmute or write in the chat. I'll open it for a few seconds. In the meantime, I just shared a form in the chat. So this is for you students to fill in about today's very important and very interesting session. So please dedicate a few seconds of your time to just fill in this form. If we don't have any questions, I'll move to the closing. Thank you so much, Jean-Baptiste. So as I told everyone here at the start of this session, this is a collaboration between the Student Professional Development Team, so represented here by Patrick, and the Mission Curator team, represented here by our lead, Dr. Fred, who is also Mission Curator for Infrastructure and Urbanization. And I really wish to thank both of them, Patrick and Fred, for making this session possible. And I'll now invite Dr. Fred for the closing of this session. So, Dr. Fred, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sevika. Thank you, Jean-Baptiste, and thank you, Patrick. And thank you to all esteemed students who are here attending this important session. So Jean-Baptiste would like to express our heartfelt thanks on behalf of AAU for making time to speak to our students. So your presentation was very informative, very insightful, and I hope our students have also learned so many things from your experience, from your current work, but also the current development in the WASH sector. So we hope that this is not the last time you speak to our students. We hope that next time we invite you, you also devote your time to speak to them. Just to give you a bit of background of why we always value this kind of events. So we think that learning does not only happen within classes. Actually, based on our learning model, only 10% of the learning takes place within classes. 70% should take place, should come from the learning, experiential learning opportunities, such as this one. So we think that with this kind of guest speaker events, it helps students to, relate what they have learned in class to the actual practical real world experiences. So, and I do not doubt that they have really learned so much when in terms of water and water sanitation and hygiene. So just before we conclude this session, I would like to make one last request. I know that wherever you go, be it in your day-to-day duties or different networks that you interact with, I'm quite sure you come across different opportunities, including volunteering, including internships, including conference opportunities that are open to youth and for earlier career professionals. So we would like to ask you that in case you find something very relevant to our students, please always share them with our colleague Patrick, who's in the Student Professional Development Unit. Or you could also share it with me or my colleague Sevika. So we would really be glad to share more of those opportunities to our students so that they can apply and also hopefully gain some hands-on experience from those opportunities. So once again, Jean-Baptiste, thank you so much for making your time to be with us today. I wish you all the best in your work, and of course, have a great weekend. Thank you, Sevika. Over to you.
Thank you so much. And I just pasted the link in the chat in case some of you are not, in case the other link is not opening. So please just dedicate some time and open it and fill it. It's really a short one. Thank you, Dr. Fred. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you so much, Jean-Baptiste. We really enjoyed hearing about your career and really are grateful for your presence today. So thank you so much. Over to you, Patrick.
Wow. So I would say a round of applause for Jen and for every one of us here. You have really made this day a wonderful one. We celebrated our independence yesterday, 6th March. We gained our independence 1957, and I am celebrating the issue of water, sanitation, and hygiene today. Because most of our people are actually going through challenges regarding wash. So I'm happy for this session, and I thank you, students, for making time to join. Savika, it's always been wonderful collaborating with you, and of course, mission creators in general. So I'm really very grateful, and I wish you all the best. We'll keep in touch. Thank you, Gia, and all the best.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Okay.